You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. Long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Hey, we're here. Danielle, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. Never done one of these before, so it's just.
Oh my goodness! You're. I promise you, you are in safe hands. And so, I've got something here that you didn't know was going to happen.
Oh no!
Where is it?
Oh no!
Isn't that lovely?
Brilliant! I love it.
Isn't that just beautiful?
Yeah.
So that's specially for you today. So just in case anybody doesn't know who you are, Danielle Fisher, please tell us who you are, what you do.
Hi, yeah, so I am a product manager working for Sage at the minute, specifically with accountants. So I have a background in AML, so I've been working with Go Proposal for the past 5.5 years. And then from that, I've moved on to one of our Sage products, or the Sage products, which I'm working to build at the minute alongside a lot of the AML stuff that we do as well.
Perfect. And AML. AML has been going around for years and years. I used to be in financial services, okay, and AML came out donkey's years ago, and we had to sort of like, it was all about knowing your customer, and you know, if we used to people used to pay in cash for the policies that we did, but if somebody turned around to us and said, "Oh, I've got $3,000 I want to put into a policy and it's all in cash," we had to fill out loads of forms, and that's got to be 30 plus years ago. So it's something we've come to live with, but it's a complete nightmare, isn't it, Danielle, for accountants and bookkeepers?
It's crazy, really. So some of the reason that I got into it was because at Go Proposal, this was back 3.5 years ago, we were getting so many requests from our customers saying, you know, please, can you build out AML? We don't think anyone could do it. We've, like James Ashford, got all of those sorts of questions. And because Go Proposal was predominantly onboarding software, proposals, engagement letters, it made perfect sense to bring everything into one place. So we kind of avoided it for a bit. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and do it. And that has sent me on this journey of speaking to lots of accountants and bookkeepers about AML. I think I probably spoke to about 70 or 80 within the first 6 months. And all the words that I just heard over and over were overwhelm, don't know if what I'm doing is correct, I just need confidence, the governing body templates that we're getting are too long and too confusing, it's time consuming. So try to kind of got a really good idea of what the consensus is from accountants around it, and then also spoke to a lot of our experts in the space. So, you know, the expert Valerie Stewart, who works for VS Consultancy, spoke to governing bodies to then understand what the flip side is. So, like, what's their perspective and where are accountants and bookkeepers going wrong, and tried to build a solution that somewhere in the middle, so helping avoid the traps that the governing bodies are talking about, and also helping with some of the pain points that the accountants had across both confidence in what to do and software related pain points as well. So quite a task.
Yeah, you said traps. Are they there on purpose, or is it just because it is such a complex beast?
No, they're not there on purpose. I genuinely don't think the governing bodies want people to be failing. And interestingly, I don't know if anyone's seen the Accounting Web article that just came out, I think it was on the 1st of July, to say that the recent review showed that 18% of firms actually didn't pass their practice assurance visit for AML. So 18% of the firms. So it's still, the traps are more, where are people going wrong? And I think what that's highlighted to me is it's got worse, not better.
If you say 18%, it doesn't sound like much, but hang on, that's nearly a fifth.
Yeah, exactly.
That's shocking.
They were deemed not compliant with the AML, so they were given some time to go and fix it.
Sure.
And my take on this is always, why, even if it's just a few things you need to tweak, if we can get it right in the first place, it avoids the time of having to go back and forth with the governing body, which is a really, really long process. Save yourself the time by just kind of avoiding those traps now. And I think software providers are good, but I think that maybe sometimes there's too much emphasis, actually, weird me saying this, but on the software provider, and too little emphasis on, right, let's just strip it back a bit. What do I need to do? as an accountant or bookkeeper, then I'm going to choose the right software provider. Rather than the other way around, which is kind of at the minute where a software provider says, we've got the approach, we'll solve all your problems, you'll be able to sleep at night. In reality, it kind of needs to be the other way around, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Pavel is watching, so just say hello to Pavel. Thanks for joining in. Pavel does software for accountants as well, so he's been learning loads of stuff here today. So I'm just thinking, if I'm an accountant and I've had a visit from the governing body and they look at my AML and they now see that it's rubbish, are they going to start digging into other stuff because now I'm tarred with that rubbish brush?
It's a really, really good question. I think every governing body operates a little bit differently. I think it really depends what they find. So if they were to go into your files and they just found, okay, you know, this risk assessment isn't quite up to date, or this policy isn't quite up to date, but I can see that you last updated a year ago, then that would just be kind of a minor cross and a recommendation that you go and achieve it. If on the flip side, they go into a client's record that you give them access to and they see, right, you haven't got a risk assessment in place for this client, you don't look like, where's your ID check? Then you might start asking other questions about, well, okay, have you got a policy in place? What do all of your other client files look like? So I think it really depends on how much risk they see when they're looking at those records that you're giving them.
Sure, but you do start thinking though. You're like, oh, what else are they doing wrong? It's a bit like when we go to a restaurant and the toilets are not very nice. It's not like, oh, if the toilets aren't very nice, what's the kitchen going to be like?
100%. Sorry, go on.
Go on.
No, just on the flip side, I understand it from the accountant and bookkeeper's point of view, because they feel that these regulations just keep growing and growing and growing. It's the same with any regulation.
Yeah, I know.
Review them, do you? You only ever see them grow and expand, and it's a lot for a small practice. Not most accountancy practices aren't big enough to be employing, you know, a full legal expert, a full advisor in the firm. It's usually on the manager or what we call the MLRO to do this, and it's a hard thing to do, and it is, honestly, from doing it myself, that 6 months of research or whatever it was, it is a huge job to fully understand it. So I can understand the frustration, and I'm just here to try and maybe help lift some of it and make that process and journey to understanding it a little bit simpler for people.
So you're chatting to, so you're busy at Go Proposal doing proposals and pricing and all of that amazing stuff that you guys do. And then all these people keep saying, oh, do AML, do AML, do AML. And they're like, you've now opened up this bag of worms.
Yeah, basically.
Did you at any point think there's no way I can put this into a software package, or did you just, look, if we can do Go Proposal, we can put anything into a software package? How does the brain of a you know, a product manager work?
Funnily enough, I wasn't even a product manager at the time. That's what made me a product manager, which I think is funny, because it's kind of, I didn't actually know what a product manager was. I just decided to go and do this thing, and then all of a sudden it's this whole job that I never knew about, which is great. Yeah, there were many times where I was researching it, like, what on earth is going on, and is this actually something I can do, and can I take on this risk? Like, it was scary, because as a software provider, we talk a lot about things like MVPs and the first valuable iteration we can get to market. But actually, when it's AML, there's a level that you're going to need to have before you can market it as an AML solution. It's tough. I'm trying to, you know, make sure I've read all of the guidance from all of the governing bodies, the CCAB guidance, just trying to make sure that nothing we were doing was completely wrong. It's scary, but it's very worth doing.
Yeah, no, I've been in software for donkey's years. I used to work for a company called Digita, and we had a boat trip. This is always a summer boat trip. It was great fun, and you end up sitting down and talking to some people you probably wouldn't normally talk to. And I was talking to some of the developers, and one of the guys, he'd come from a place where they were making software for defense, okay, and basically his software product, you know, these big ships where they've got the big missiles and that. Basically, it shot one missile from this end of the ship and another missile from this end of the ship, and it worked out that it could do this. And so you if you imagine all these missiles, if they got it wrong, you've got two missiles smashing next to each other over the ship, and everyone dies. So you know, for a minimal viable product, it has to work 100% of the time.
Exactly.
And you know, for something, you know, like a bit of practice management or a bit of tax software, you know, when we get it out, it really doesn't matter so much. But for AML, your clients are turning around and saying, right, this software is going to solve my AML woes, you have to make sure that you're not, your Ministry of Defense sort of compliant, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, on a slightly smaller scale than the missiles, I'd hope. But
well, sure.
No, it's a really good analogy. That actually, it's scary from that perspective. But the one thing that I do love, I mean, it was right when Sage acquired Go Proposal that we were building this. So the real benefit of that was that I then had access to Sage legal teams, Sage security teams, which is something that I cannot doubt. Like I can't doubt them for. They're brilliant in that sense. So I think that having access to all of that just made the solution we did even more robust, which was great for me.
No, fantastic. And then to cap it all, you're talking about AML at the Digital Accountancy Show. How was that?
Gosh, that was amazing. That was actually terrifying. I think it was the first thing I'd ever done, and I had no idea what to expect. And I turned up, and it was a stage, so it wasn't sort of a Countex where you're in this little bit closed off from the world. It was a massive stage. I thought, how am I going to do this? I'd never seen it before. It was brilliant. And what I really liked about the Digital Accountancy Show was how receptive the audience were, because we were talking about some really big topics. We were talking about deep fake AI. We were talking about what's been going on in that landscape, and they were so receptive to it. So I felt like it was a really good place to talk about the future of accountancy, AML, and all of those things.
No, absolutely. Well done, you. And so, are you going to do any more talks?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to go back to that. I'd love to do more on that. I need to come up with something better than a deep fake video of myself for the next one. So I'm not sure I'm going to do that, but that was
awesome. I was stuck on a stand, so I didn't get to see you. So I make sure that I get to see you next time. So can we wind the clock back a little bit?
Yeah.
Because you used to work at this little company, disruptive company called Go Proposal. We all know James Ashford. And so when you joined, it wasn't the Go Proposal that we know today, was it?
No, definitely not. It was 5 of us in a little box room in Salford. So if anyone's from Manchester, I'll know where that is.
Fantastic. That's where Lowry came from, isn't it? DS Lowry.
Yep.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So you were disruptive. It was great fun. I've known James for ages, and watching the story unfold and everything happen.
Yeah.
And so when did you start, and what was your role when you first got there?
Yeah, so I was looking for a temporary role after I'd finished uni. It was about 6 years ago, and I was just looking for a temporary job. And my role was, I saw this company, this startup, and it was a support role. So it was helping the customers understand how to use Go Proposal, adopt Go Proposal, and I just didn't want to leave. Like the second I got there, it was the energy and the passion, and obviously I'm working in a room with James Ashford every single day as well, who is the best mentor I think anyone could have.
Absolutely.
And best training in mindset I think I got from that. And because it was so small, there was so much enthusiasm amongst the 5 of us to drive it forwards, to solve problems. Like there was no crap, basically. It was just very to the point, and everybody wanted a good outcome. And because it is so small, you dip your fingers in so many different pies without even realizing it. So you go from support to, onboarding, activation, strategy, product. You don't realize you're doing it at the time, but you're doing it. And that's where my feet landed in product, because that's where I started to naturally take the reins. I think it was with the first product we had called Oversuite, which was engagement letter solution for accountants. Cool. That's actually what got us into compliance. Started with that, and then kind of evolved from there, and then Sage bought us out and evolved even further from there.
And what did you do at uni?
Chemistry. So completely.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, hang on. There must be some of the things you learn. I guess you're not playing with chemicals and stuff like that, but some of the processes that you're doing, and you've got to have an analytical mind and stuff like that. So surely that helps.
Data, 100%. The data, definitely, because you need to use that in product all the time, and putting an argument together, writing long documents, all those sorts of things. Yeah, it was incredible. That's why I said it was temporary, because I thought, I'll probably find something in chemistry. And then honestly, I don't regret anything, because I loved my experience so much. And it's crazy. It's the butterfly effect. You just don't know where the things you do are going to land you at all.
You don't, and you know, we're at school, and I don't know why you chose chemistry, but you might have been good at the sciences at school.
Yeah.
You like chemistry, so I'll go and do that at uni. Brilliant. But you know, you don't ever think that, oh my goodness, I could be standing on stage talking about anti-money laundering, like whatever was that. You wouldn't have guessed, would you?
No.
And I think that's
Yeah.
the beauty of life, isn't it? And it's grabbing hold of those opportunities when they come along.
Yeah.
So you were 5, or you know,
Mhm.
there was 5 in the company, and then it grew. How many in the team when you were acquired by Sage?
I think it was nearly 30.
That is incredible, isn't it?
Nearly 30. Yeah, there was a massive period of scale. Probably not the first year I was there, but slowly over time. And then it was even strange moving from the box room in Salford to the Ancoats office, which was still small, by the way, relative to Sage. And then we kept outgrowing every single office. And then I remember James walking in one day saying, "Oh, we've been bought by Sage." And we were all like flabbergasted, but really happy as well, and really happy for him.
No, Sage have had a regeneration, haven't they?
Yeah.
There was a lot of times when, you know, people spoke not so nicely about Sage, but now they're doing some amazing things. That stand at Accountex was incredible, and you've got some great people working there. It's absolutely amazing. So what was the transition like, if you can tell us?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was just different. So the biggest change for me, there were 2 really massive changes that I needed to get my head around, that I think was the struggle for me was, and then it became a lot easier with time and has lots of advantages. The first one was the scale of it. So obviously I'm used to working in a very small company where if you want to go and build a new feature or a new project, you can do it and probably turn it around within a month, depending on what it is. Moving to Sage as a product manager, you balancing lots and lots of different priorities across lots and lots of different products. So this learning how to balance and prioritize at scale on a personal level was a learning for me. But the scale of it is also so handy because the code base, for example, is incredibly stable. The legal side, the security side, the trust side, especially when you're building something like AML, is there. We've got that. That's back. Regardless, I think, of what accountants were saying about Sage back then, I think one thing they would say is they would trust a Sage product. They would trust a Sage AML product. So from an AML perspective, it was brilliant to have those guys at hand. And it was different. Like, I just wasn't used to working with that many people and that many teams. But now I love it, and I think we're in a really, really good place in our accountants division, within product management, where there's so much passion and energy and excitement behind the scenes, like every day, around what we're building and where we're going. And I love that, and that's what you want to turn up to work every day too.
Yeah, absolutely. Where were you were based in Manchester? Where's is it Sage is Newcastle?
The headquarters are in Newcastle, but
Yeah.
it's also I'm still based in Manchester. There's an office in Manchester, and there's one in London as well. It's at the Shard. Very nice.
Yeah, cool. So hang on, Manchester, blue or red?
Red.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know nothing about football, but I just thought I'd ask that, because James is a Man United fan as well, isn't he?
I think so. I actually never. Do you know what? In all my years of working with him, we never had the conversation.
Brilliant. So you are now. So you were one of 5. So you're a 5th of the company.
Mm.
What are you now? How many people are employed by Sage?
Gosh, I don't know. It's in the thousands. It's
but it's worldwide as well, isn't it? It's not. It's
within the UK, I'm not sure, but it's in the tens of thousands worldwide. But that's also so exciting, working on international solutions rather than just UK solutions. That's again another one of those adjustments. Okay, are we sending this one to Canada? Just little things like that you need to think about.
So you are the product manager for AML, is that right?
For practice management in Sage.
Practice management.
Yeah, right, practice management, and AML fits under that bracket of something that you do to manage your clients and your practice.
That's a big old job, Danielle.
Yeah, it's not small. It's not small.
Because isn't practice manager the holy grail for accountants?
It is, yeah. So I think the way we're looking at it is we want to just, we know there's gaps in our current offering. So rather than looking at it as practice management, because I think everybody then thinks carbon center, I think we're looking at it as we already are a client management solution. there is already a way you can manage your clients and practice within Sage for Accountants. It's just bridging some gaps now that we know exist. So we see it more as, how do we support our accountants who are using our solutions today? We're doing more within them, and a lot of that falls into practice management, but some of that might fall into another area.
Yeah, but there's the competition's hotting up as well, isn't there? There's always somebody new coming in and something different happening.
Yeah.
So and everyone wants something different from so a set of accounts. You put your numbers in, you get a set of accounts out. You want it to do a limited company set of accounts or a charity accounts, and then tax it just does your tax. But practice management, it's like buying a new car, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want cup holders. I want a decent stereo. I want leather seats. I want alloy wheels. All these different combinations.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what wheels it's got as long as it rolls. Oh, no, that's really important to me. And you're sort of like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of that, Danielle?
I focus on the segment of accountants that I think we need to that we're trying to support first. So that's a smaller practice. So we're not looking at how do we build out this solution for the big practice right now, because that will come with time. But you focus your efforts on a certain type of accountant, the ones that I've spoken to through Go Proposal, the ones that we've continued to speak to in this research, and we just focus on building out what we know they need first. And then I always think with this, you just got to get something in market. As soon as you've got something in market, that is when the real work starts. That is when you can actually start talking to customers about how they're finding it and improving the experience. I don't like to do anything without speaking to customers, and so for me, it's start with these customers, get it into market, learn about how they're adopting it and using it, and then build more for them, and always have their feedback or the common bits of feedback as the North Star of what you're doing. I trail a bit there, but I focus on a specific category.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? And is it an open door policy? So if I'm an accountant, I can pick up the phone and have a chat with you and sort of like say, oh, have you thought about this and stuff like that? Do you hold focus groups?
Yeah, I'm always looking for people to speak to. So anytime, if anyone ever wants to chat to me about it, I'm more than happy to do so, because research side is so important to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, okay. Are you allowed to tell us what's coming in the future with Sage, or is that all hush hush?
Yeah, we went to Accountex and that was public, so I can share what we shared at Accountex, because
fantastic.
That's no secret. So we are looking at the minute at how we help our accountants manage all of their obligations, so their tasks and their jobs and bookkeepers, from Sage for Accountants. So if you imagine our accountants are using our compliance products today, self-assessment, set of accounts, they're using some of our accounting products. We've just launched a link out to Xero and QuickBooks, which might seem strange, but a big part of our journey is to make sure that an accountant can manage their clients in their practice no matter what ledger tool they're actually using. So from there, we're going to now bring in this ability to actually manage and track those obligations, because it's all good that all these practices are using self-assessment accounts, but where can they actually see how many jobs they've got on the go and who needs to do what? We know so many of our accounts are actually still using Excel for this. So work to be done. And then a lot of it is also about how we help our accountants collaborate with their clients as well, which I can't give away too much on just yet, but there's some very clever thinking going into this in terms of how we help them communicate better and collaborate better, thinking just purely to self-assessment and that horrible period of chasing your clients for data. How do we make that incredible, and how do we make that experience so much easier for the accountants and their clients?
I talk about the Holy Grail. That's got to be it, hasn't it? That really has to be it. I've been working with accountants and bookkeepers, like I said earlier, for 17 years.
Yeah.
And every single January, you cannot speak to them because they are so busy. And you're sort of like, come on, somebody crack that nut.
Yeah. How do you actually get your clients to respond to what it is you need from them? The ones that maybe don't want to respond or are on the go all the time, how do we turn them from bad clients into good clients?
It's just making it dead simple. I think that's the thing, isn't it? And I told my accountant that I will have it all done by July. Now I think that's the end of July. So I keep thinking, I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it today.
Yeah,
And there's always something else that needs doing that's more important,
yeah.
because January the 31st isn't there. And you would think that because I know what it's like for accountants and bookkeepers, I would be her first client that has everything done.
But you just
So,
don't. Yeah.
so yeah, and this is the thing.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. And I guess I do get it done, and I'm not a January guy. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a January guy. I'm going to be a July guy.
Yeah.
But I could have been a May or a June guy, couldn't I? Because it should all be there.
It should be
And
something that's so easy that you're just doing it as you go along, almost.
Yeah. So every day I come in and I check my emails. Every day I come in and I do a little bit of LinkedIn. I've got all these processes. Where's my process for all that stuff that I should be doing for my accountant and me, my business, to keep me compliant, to make sure I'm paying the right tax? So there you go. There's a little bit of customer research for you there, Danielle.
No, they're really good questions. Like I say, if there's anyone listening who actually wants to chat, I would more than appreciate it, because more people I speak to, the more excited we get, and the more passionate I feel about what we're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it comes through. It absolutely comes through. I didn't see your talk, but when we had lunch together at the Digital Accounting Show, you'd just done your talk, hadn't you?
Yeah, because that was definitely calm at that point.
Well, no, you were buzzing, but what I got from our conversation at lunchtime was that you're enthusiastic about what you do, you're passionate about what you do. And I don't normally chat young ladies up at lunchtime and get them to come on my show, but I just knew I had to get you on my show because you are absolutely brilliant, and you've come over absolutely just like that today, and you haven't just come off stage. You know, what you're doing is you love what you do. We can see that you love what you do, and we can see that you're trying to help with all these conundrums that everyone's having with running a busy accounting bookkeeping practice. So no, it's absolutely brilliant, and this is what we want in the software for accountants industry, is people like Danielle Fisher.
Oh, thank you. It's all about solving problems, isn't it? If you're not solving real problems, then what are you here for? That would be no,
absolutely. Yeah. And do you think that has come because you worked for a tiny company? Because I've worked for small companies in the past, and so I'm a chef by trade. So I started out working in kitchens and stuff like that, but I worked for small hotels. I worked for a huge hotel in London where there was like 70 chefs. So you can imagine there. So basically your job there was just to make some food. But other hotels, if a guest needed some suitcases taking up to their room, or you had to clean the table, or you had to wait on the table, or even emptying the bins, because it was a small hotel, you can't turn around and say, no, I'm the chef, I don't do that. It's sort of like, right, where are the bins? I'll go and do it. And do you think that's why you're like, that's why you're like that, because you had that baptism?
Definitely mindset, yeah, 100%. If you imagine, we're a small company, we're fighting to survive. So every day was, even though we weren't positioning that, every day was a fight to actually survive. And the only way I ever learned from James that you could ever survive is to genuinely deliver for your customer and genuinely care about your customer. And so 100% came from that, because we wanted to succeed, but we wanted to succeed in the right way. We wanted to do the right thing for our customers, because it was such a nice feeling. So I'm thinking back to the Oversuite launch, when we launched that, and it's really highly adopted with Go Proposal. The customers, our accountants, were grateful. They were thanking us for what we did, and that feeling of knowing you've delivered something and solved a problem for a real problem, was probably something I've held on to, and something that I want to keep feeling, because it's benefiting everyone.
Yeah, I used to get that with Digital. I'd go into a client, they'd be struggling with this, and this, and you put in some new software, and it just changes what they do. It gives them back more time. It makes them easier to manage. So yeah, what a lovely way to end our show today. That's our time gone already, Danielle. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I've got one more question to ask you. Okay, but before I do that, I'm just going to give a shout out to Sam Draper. So he's on my show next week. So we'll be having a chat with him. But my very last question to you, Danielle, is when you were at primary school, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh my goodness. Is it weird if I can't remember? Because I don't think I can. I feel like it was something along the lines of like ballet dancer. I kind of feel like it was something along those lines.
But you didn't become a ballet dancer. You are now a product manager at Sage, which is absolutely fantastic and great news for our accountants and bookkeepers. Danielle, you've been absolutely marvelous. Thank you very much indeed for coming along. Thank you to Pavel for for saying hello, and we will be back next week. Cheerio, Danielle.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. Long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out.